here. What's up, boys? How we doing, chat? Happy trade day. It's over. We're done. Happy Thursday, March 25th, 2021, man. A fun day, you know. Not blockbusters. We didn't get a blockbuster, right? We didn't get like a massive one. I think Oladipo is probably the marquee one of the day. Marquee to the or Depot to the Heat. I think that does something. So I like that. I think the Heat definitely making money moves. It sounds like they also might get LaMarcus Aldridge. And then I got to put the Heat right back up in there. I mean, the Heat were barely healthy, making a run last year. And now, if they can get right side of health going down the stretch, losing Olynyk, whatever. Precious Achiuwa, time to develop him a little bit. And put Victor Oladipo in the mix, man. Oladipo, Jimmy Butler, that's a problem. If we're getting, like, prime Depot. And I think we can. What am I looking for here? Let's go pull up some stuff. Last night was like the lowest scoring 11-game slate like I can ever remember. Like some of these scores and cash lines felt like the good old days. Let me turn the music off, man. Absolutely a night of the floor game across the league. Nikola Vucevic was your slate leader in fantasy points at 57. I mean, how many times on an 11-game slate that involves Luka and the big boys is there nobody over 60, much less just like a handful of 50s. So we saw some awkward lineups, and it really made for some low cash lines and some interesting first place lineups. Like even the mid-tier balanced approach produced some big floor games. Elise Johnson was probably the play of the century if the stats counted. There were some reports or some people complaining that Elise Johnson stats were not counting, but I think they rectified that. So is what it is, man. But hopefully you guys made it out all right. I did fine. I basically broke even last night. Nothing fancy. 11-game slate is. I expected more chaos after lock last night. With today being the trade deadline, there was a couple of trade candidates last night that were playing, and I was kind of stunned. Like, Aaron Gordon, guys like that. And I was like, man, do you really want to risk that? The day prior, but it is what it is. We're gonna go through all the trades here, I guess, to get things started. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love trade day. It's usually a fun sweat. Sometimes it lets us down, but today was all right. There was enough movement. What's up, chat? What's up, Darren? What up, Crispy? Quan? It's storming, but what up, yo? We had some nasty storms here last night. Got cold, a lot of lightning. Massa blue balled the league. What up, Tall? Heater looking scary. Heater definitely looking scary. But last night, Drake made that phone call, and Twitter was going nuts about, we don't want to trade Lowry. And then, closer to the deadline, I start seeing some of those same Raptors fans a little upset that they didn't trade Lowry, but ended up making some deals anyway, right? Denver's looking interesting, and that's what you like to see. You like to see, hopefully, now the playoff picture is just going to be entertaining as much as possible throughout the rounds. What's up, T-Spaz? Hate being from Boston. But every year, Boston's like going to trade for every star ever, and they end up doing nothing. Like trading Daniel Tice. Like Evan Fournier, I like him, to get me wrong, but it's definitely not the name that Boston fans had their hopes on, What's up, Jim? Can't believe Doncic. That was a letdown. Hey, ironically, we had talked about, and it wasn't like it was more like a BVP. You guys know BVP in baseball. It was just like, ironically, Luka's history against the Minnesota Timberwolves, I believe it's a giant coincidence, but it's consistently bad. DKP by game log versus Timberwolves. That's like his second game against the T-Wolves in the last month or so. and they're lackluster. And I don't think they have like the formula on floor games for Luka, but he's got 1 game over 60, 2 games over 50, and 11K Luka. You want more than this. So I don't necessarily I don't think they have some strapped down. This is the formula to shut down Luka, but Luka really has had a couple of letdowns against the Timberwolves, which just always feels like a smash spot. Again, coincidence more than not. But what a coincidence. Imagine being smart enough to play Elise Johnson. I wish. The thing is, like, guys like Elise Johnson give you Luka. You know what I'm saying? Jetty Osmond. There's a couple value plays, right? What up? Who breaks? Nuggets let go of my boy G Money. Had to replace him with Grant for Gordon. So I like Aaron Gordon. I do. Is Aaron Gordon a little overrated just because of his dunk contest prowess? Like, he's consistently on a losing team, and then who is he to go out there and demand a trade? Like, Aaron Gordon is nice, but is he ego? Is he able to be the ego guy? Nice? I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent. Hopefully, he goes out there and balls out, and he's not just like lost in the sauce. But Denver's a problem. Stop being greedy. What up, Ross? Boston just made cap space for Drummond. Yeah, I saw Boston in the Drummond sweepstakes. I saw the Lakers in the Drummond sweepstakes. I also just saw the Lakers. It looks like LeBron could be out, 5 more weeks? So, yeah. Drummond, I don't know I can't tell if Drummond's undervalued or overvalued, but I do think a solid rebounder in that Celtics front court, somebody can get you a easy bucket. But I don't think like Drummond's a priority for me, but I don't hate it. Need another party, man. So spoiled. You expect to win every year, then throw a fit when you don't. Come on, man. That's how it is, man. Trust me. That's how it is. It's championship or bust out here. Aaron Gordon definitely a bit overrated. What's up, Justin Sports? Yeah, a little overrated. Like, I love Aaron Gordon, don't get me wrong. But you take out the dunk contest, and like he's nobody. He's just another a power forward. What's up, PJ? Sticks to DFS, bro. What? What am I missing? What up, Encore? Heat rarely gave up Kelly O. Bradley for Oladipo. I think that's fine. I think you can develop Achua a little bit. Ariza can play the 4. Like, I like Olenek too, but Oladipo is a beast at his best, right? Anybody could have Oladipo from Miami paid for him. Anybody could have. Why didn't they? Right? Miami couldn't have been the only team called. I thought the Knicks would have been a real fun landing spot for Oladipo. Absolutely. Because the Knicks defense is already pretty strong, and it's a good market that is due to be revitalized, right? Lou Williams about to be at Magic City every day. Lemon Pepper Lou. All right, let me start from last night's Fantasy Labs Twitter feed. We got the party started with DeLon Wright being traded for Kojo and 2 second-round picks. JaVale McGee going back to the Nuggets. JaVale McGee trade was for Isaiah Hartenstein and 2 second-round picks. Vucevic, Al-Farouq Aminu to the Bulls. So there was a moment in time today where it sounded like the Bulls could be shopping hard for Lonzo Ball. Then I started daydreaming about a Lonzo, Zach LaVine, and Vucevic lineup. I love that move there. Magic just fire sold, and I do think the Bulls they have some pieces to build on. So good for them. They gave up Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter, and 2 first-round picks. I think that's a great haul. Wendell Carter Jr. young, and I think fits like the defensive scheme and mindset of what Clifford can do. Evan Fournier to the Celtics. Then we got status news. Who wants that today? Depot was Daniel Gafford, Chandler Hutchison for Troy Brown, and Mo Wagner. Interesting. Gordon to the Nuggets. Gary Harris, R.J. Hampton, first-round pick for that Aaron Gordon move. I I love the potential. The Magic and the Thunder are about to just like own the draft right now. Clark in that Nugget still. Nemanja Bjelica to the Heat. I think that's a fine lateral from Kelly Olynyk. Maybe Olynyk's a little bit better, but I think Bjelica is a fine fill in there. If turning Olynyk into Bjelica to get Oladipo is the move, then that's the move. Like, I'm all for that all day long, all day strong. Hill to the Sixers, not quite Kyle Lowry. Mo Harkless, Chris Silver going back for Bjelica. Norman Powell to the Blazers for Gary Trent Jr., Rodney Hood. So that's a dangerous 3-guard set, essentially with Lillard, McCollum, Norman Powell. You could fill in that 4 spot with Rocco and Carmelo, and then Yusuf Nurkic is in the shadows with Enes Kanter in the front court. So maybe that's enough firepower to give Dame some help. George Hill trade involved Tony Bradley, Austin Rivers, 2 second-round pick. The Knicks end up with Terrence Ferguson. Crazy day. And then anything else here that worth noting here? Yeah, just a bunch of no one's playing today. Rondo for Lou Will. Lou Will back to the Lemon Peppers. Rondo, whatever, fine. two journeyman six-men guys. Obviously, way too different styles of play here. I think Lou, of course, more of a scorer, and Rondo can be a high IQ facilitator. And that's it, right? Let's see what you guys got in chat, man. Fournier trolling on Twitter. I haven't Googled Fournier in a long time. I think it's a little more healthy now, but that's some gross stuff, man. Raps ticking me off. Didn't get it. Dealt Powell, Davis, and Thomas. So if you were gonna deal Norman Powell, why not trade Kyle Lowry? But I don't know. Maybe Drake made that push, and they were just like, "Nah, we'll keep him." I feel like there was a lot of fake love for Lowry last night, though, because I saw when that clip of Drake calling Lowry at the press conference kind of leaked out. People were like, "Yeah, we love Lowry here. We don't want him to go." It's like the DeRozan stuff. And then, sure enough, today when the deadline was approaching, I saw some Raps fans tilting that they didn't trade. I saw a ridiculous trade. I saw like a Thibault, 2 first-rounders, and somebody else for Lowry. I was like, yeah, that ain't happening, bro. What? Like, Raptors fans really, really value Lowry more. And I love Lowry, but wow. There was some crazy rumors on that one. What's up, G-Man? Magic got nobody. The Magic got nobody now, but they're setting up for the future. I do think once you get Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz healthy, you can develop Wendell Carter Jr. You got some draft picks to play with and some salary capital to play with. So it's a rebuild. It's not going to be fun for a couple years, but I wouldn't be down in the dumps. Like, you weren't going to win a championship this year no matter what you did today. So you might as well hit that rebuild button. And let somebody, and if you're a true Magic fan and you appreciate guys like Vucevic, never being about the ego and coming to work every day on a losing team, hey man, go out there, shake things up. Hopefully he can do well. Hopefully Aaron Gordon gets his shot. And Fournier, put these guys in some contenders. Is what it is. The buyout guys, where do they go? It sounds like LaMarcus Aldridge could be in the mix for Miami. I've heard Drummond tied to the Lakers and the Celtics. Who else is a buyout candidate? DeMarcus Cousins. He ended up not with anybody yet, too, right? That's interesting. Going to be interesting. Portland getting Nurk back with Norman. Yeah, Portland. When Portland's healthy, I mean, I think they're very. Portland's always one injury away from being like average bad. But if they're fully healthy and they can stay healthy, I do think Lillard, McCollum, Norman Powell, Rocco, and Nurkic, I mean, they'll put up a fight. Masai and Webster should have dealt Lowry. I do think they should have dealt Lowry too. And if you're trying to give Lowry like his ride into the sunset, it's like you're playing in Tampa. Like it's not the same. But I don't know. Obviously, I think you should have made the decision. Either go for a playoff run or get what you can get. like teams that are buying players out, like Aldridge. Was there not anything out there for Aldridge worth more than a buyout? Like something? Denver got stronger, absolutely. I like Denver. Denver's a problem. What's up, Spencer? How we doing, boys? You guys doing all right today? I hope you're doing all right, man. It's been a long day. Had to get up a little earlier than usual, but I gotta get used to it. I gotta go ahead and flip the old sleep schedule anyway. But it's about to get real busy. It is really about to get real busy in a week. We got baseball, we got NBA on top of each other. I'm gonna try and pump out this content, try and grind both sports. So hopefully you guys are ready for what's sure to be a crazy boom time in DFS. If you guys can juggle it all, I appreciate the love. If you guys are looking for a little good vibes tonight, hit that thumbs up, and we'll dive into it. Again, I think Miami really the only game tonight that's overly or significantly impacted by a trade with Olynyk, and then we had some cues on him anyway. But for the most part, I think the juice of this slate is going to be later tonight. The 10 p.m. area looks like where I want to land a bunch. So we'll try and navigate through the waters here. But it shouldn't be that crazy. Like, this trade should not have. It doesn't look like the trade is going to impact this game or this slate too much, right? That bang got you right, even though you didn't get much sleep. Bang and coffee, man. You know how it is. Blazers come out the West now. No, stop it. You stop it. Stop that right now. I want to see it. Like, I'm all for Cinderella. And Damian Lillard, definitely somebody I respect and love, and I would love to see him get one. But stop it. West is. I do think the West is more open than people think it is, though. But right now I put Utah and Denver as my technical teams to come out the West, and then of course playoff LeBron if he's going to be healthy in time. I can't bet against LeBron. The Phoenix Suns are right there in the thick of things. I think the West is very, very intriguing. But I can't put the Blazers as the best team in the West, though. Hyped for the Yankees, yes, sir. I'm hyped, too. FanDuel dropped the MLB pricing for opening day. They've also added multi-position eligibility. That came to some mixed reviews. I don't mind it. Still a one-pitcher site. That's really just the difference between FanDuel and DraftKings now is no forced catcher and just one pitcher. So I still think it's unique enough that I'm playing both. But there's a lot of people you thought you took their firstborn by making it multi-position eligible, right? Let's get cranked up here. Game numero uno. Portland Trailblazers at the Miami Heat. Project starting five for the Blazers. Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Derek Jones Jr., Robert Covington, and they hate us because they ain't us. Cantor up against Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy G buckets. Maybe Precious Achiuwa. I just threw a name in there because I saw Okpala was out, and obviously Olynyk's been dealt, and Bam Adebayo. The team was already chock full of questionable tags anyway. So let me get to that injury news and notes and see if we can't maybe pull away with some names. Obviously, Jimmy Butler's going to levitate up as somebody we'd be interested in on a short slate as one of the highest raw point accumulators. But let's go top to the bottom on this Miami Heat injury report. Goran Dragic has a back injury. He's questionable. Says Miami would almost certainly blah, blah, blah. Okay, no. Jimmy Butler's listed as questionable as well with a stomach illness. It is not related to COVID, and that's if he has to sit out, watch for more minutes on Kendrick Nunn, Dragic, and Hero. And then, of course, Olynyk traded. Bielisa not going to play. Okpala is listed as out. So we could see as much as, a Jimmy, Dragic, Adebayo, Nunn, Hero. Team, is Hero in? Yeah, I got it. Why don't I type Hero in the... Or as little as a team without Jimmy, and then like a guy like Bam Adebayo without Kelly Olynyk, and some help in that front court. We might get deep minutes on Bam Adebayo. Now, Adebayo's already going to project pretty well for me. I do like anyone against the Portland Trailblazers right now. They're still a pretty porous team defense. I do think maybe help is on the way. Nurkic is just going to help them in their front court. But all things considered, the Portland Trailblazers front court might be one of the better matchups on the slate for centers. I think the usage rate, if Jimmy Butler is unable to play this game, will definitely go in Bam's favor. We've seen that in years past where Jimmy was down for stretches and Bam had flirted with triple-doubles. And I do think 40-plus fantasy points is not out the realm of possibility. And like I said, without Kelly Olynyk, a couple of more shot attempts and perhaps big man peripherals to go around, this is a game that, the first game at lock, so I'm hoping we get as all the news we need with an ample amount of times. I think I'm starting the basis of all my lineups around that Kings game and the 76ers. But I definitely would want some pieces on this Heat team against this Blazers defense not even if. I just want some pieces here just because of the matchup. But if we get a mix and match of a Jimmy out or a Dragic out or somebody like that, my interest in like a Kendrick Nunn and a Bam Adebayo would increase or decrease. Right now, Portland has the second worst team defensive efficiency in basketball, so it's just an elite matchup. Looking at, I'm going to pull up the on-off court tool on Fantasy Labs and bring it to the main screen. For science, let's go pull up the Miami Heat on-off court tool and kind of make a mathematical observation on with or without Jimmy and them. So we're going to take Olynyk off the court for now. We're going to put Adebayo on. Also, Avery Bradley's out of there too. Kings releasing the GOAT. That's tough. MLB, yuck. Don, man, don't hate on baseball like that, bro. Baseball's the GOAT. Also, baseball's going to be fun this year. I promise. Only thing is baseball's going to have a lot of early competition with other sports and a lot of dueling locks with basketball. Maybe. I know the first slate's like a opening day, afternoon, all day adventure. But yeah, there's a lot of dueling locks, and that might take away from some of these baseball prize pools. So, as is, when we put Olynyk off the court, Adebayo on without dressing anything up, we got a 30% assist rate on Bam Adebayo. That's incredible, with a 26% usage rate. And if Jimmy decides that stomach illness is too much, Adebayo's assist rate kind of sticks where it is. He's still over a fantasy point per minute. Usage rate kind of chilling where it's at. I would be inclined to try and target the guards on the Heat, and hopefully, I won't say hopefully, but maybe a Dragic's out and we can kind of flip a coin on Nunn and Tyler Hero. But I don't want to spend too much time kind of playing if this then that, because I do think that being the first game at lock, we'll have that news with substantial amount of time to kind of make those decisions. On the Blazers side, hey, Damian Lillard's 10K 9-4. I think more eyes might be on maybe like Ben Simmons and De'Aaron Fox, guys like that. Lillard with McCollum back, it's easy to write him off as a lower ceiling guy, maybe a lower floor guy, but I think the ceiling should still be 50-60, which is fine on this type of slate. And I would imagine just even looking at perhaps a competitor like Russell Westbrook, he might even have lower ownership than that. So I don't mind looking at Lillard. McCollum, his minutes have gone up, and without Gary Trent, I think McCollum's probably the guy we target. Because his price probably is not peaked. We had seen McCollum be an AK plus player earlier this season. He played 38 minutes against Brooklyn. There's not going to be Gary Trent behind him to fill any more minutes. No Rodney Hood, guys like that. So I think 38 minutes is a safer projection. And if we look at that team metrics chart in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, 3 points per game allowed. The Miami Heat allow the second most points in the league via the three ball. So McCollum and Lillard could take a bunch of shots, and both these guys are going to chuck from behind the arc. Last game, we saw 12 three-point attempts from McCollum, and we saw 13 on the 19th in just 28 minutes. So McCollum at 7,200, looking really, really solid floor to ceiling ratioed kind of guy, but I don't mind Lillard and McCollum together. Kanter's coming off a ridiculous rebound game. Not my favorite front court matchup, but at 6'6", chipping a chair for 30-plus fantasy points, right? Gun, they added NPE on FanDuel. Just what picks? I need y'all to explain to me why multi-position eligibility is that bad of a thing on FanDuel. Like, I get it. It's one of the few differences between FanDuel and DraftKings, but is it that bad of it? I didn't mind it at all. Catcher, first base, util, and multi-position eligibility. For someone like me, I don't care about salary in baseball. It's just going to give me the chance to have more lineups that I want. So, I don't know. I people just don't like change, and I guess that's it. Now, if they would have changed pitching scoring to emulate DraftKings or whatever, then sure, so what? If you really, really, really hate it, I would just really love to know why. Is it really that big of a impact? Now, the decisions that they've made for some of those guys, the running meme was Jose Ramirez being second base eligible. That's a little wonky, but I didn't hate that they added NPE. As a Yankee fan, DJ LeMahieu's playing all of the infield. I can only play him at second base sometimes last slate or util, and I don't know. Let's move on to the next game. Wizards at the New York Knicks. Project starting five for the Wizards: Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, Garrison Matthews, Rui Hachimura, and Alex Len. Up against Elfrid Payton, Alec Burks, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Nerlens Noel. More of the same, but different. This is a matchup that we've seen take place a few times lately, especially in the last game for the Wizards, where they really got smacked up against this Knicks defense. Today, they're going to be without Mo Wagner, who got traded. Maybe that narrows down the center sweepstakes between Alex Len and Robin Lopez on guys who you can project to get some run here. I'm not running to play any of these centers, but hey, if you were not playing Len because you didn't know how many minutes he might get, well, maybe his minutes go up here without Wagner. This matchup is only got a 3-point spread, and we saw last game, the Knicks have the ability to kind of suffocate teams. I still think the Knicks are probably the most underrated defense in basketball right now. Their defensive rating is top 3 in basketball in the season, and I think the way that they play the slowest pace is something that really, really, really gets some teams off of their usual rhythm, and the Wizards are a fast-paced, offensive-based team, and if you can change it up on them, we saw in that last game, the Knicks can really cause some problems. But I'm also not going to overreact to that last game and expect that to be the median range outcome. I think a Knicks blowout certainly is a little bit more on the I don't want to say anomaly side, but it's a little bit on the high end or the lower range of outcomes. So we expect to bounce back here. Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, both guys that can be vehicles of success for the Wizards. I don't really have a high level of interest, but I think there are some game theory decisions to be made here. I do think ownership for the point guard positions likely going to lay in guys like Ben Simmons and De'Aaron Fox. If you're just looking to get a little bit different, a little bit cuter, maybe paying up for a Westbrook or a Lillard is an option here. I'm personally kind of like a chalk donkey, and I'm leaning Fox and Simmons early on as some of my favorite guys. And then, of course, that mid-tier is loaded at the guard spot. Tyrese Halliburton also should benefit with Fox without Kojo on deck. Jordan Poole, you might be able to forgive and forget him going against a weak defense. So I don't think a lot of people are going to feel overly inclined to pay up at the point guard spot for Westbrook. But I definitely think it's a spot where I don't want I don't want zero Westbrook, right? On the Knicks side, They got a little bit healthier last game. Elfrid Payton back in the mix. Derrick Rose looks like he's going to be able to play a little bit. So I kind of don't want to deal with the sweepstakes of the Payton, Emmanuel Quickly, Derrick Rose situation. I think the two guys I'm probably going to lean on and leave it at that for the Knicks are R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle. Those are probably the two guys I think have the safest minutes. I got them at 37, 39, and should thrive. I think R.J. Barrett in that last game, I was struggling whether or not I want him to be a tier 1 option for me, and he got there. 39 minutes, 18 shot attempts, 5 rebounds, which has actually been a little bit of a low if you look at his last 5-6 games. I think this is a perfect matchup for really any player, but if you're going to give me a decent table setter in peripherals under 7K with a shot at 20 real points, I think RJ Barrett can be an option. It's not really fair to be to blame him not getting 40 on a blowout because he got those minutes, but same with Julius Randle, 38 minutes on him, 20-plus shot attempts. I'm going right back to the well on both those guys, and if this game did have a chance to stay a little bit closer, a little bit longer, Randle has really a chance to be a top 5 raw point scorer on the slate. You got to pay for it. It's going to cost you, but I think there's enough mid to low tier value to kind of make it happen. So just give me some Barrett, some Randle, and then loose shots on a Westbrook Beal, right? See what you guys got in chat before we move on. Sixers prefer Dwight off the bench. Yeah. Everyone watching, take a moment to hit that like button. I appreciate that. Oh, by the way, right when I went off the air last night or yesterday afternoon, I had a $25 super chat, so I do appreciate that. It was awkward timing, and we didn't get to experience the alert on the stream. But in my Streamlabs, I don't see it as a recent alert, so I can't even give him the love. But I appreciate that super chat right yesterday. Solid says it takes away an edge. Now everyone can play Jose Ramirez in 3 spots as opposed to fading. I don't really think that's an edge, though. Like, I guess. If anything, it's going to create more of an edge because some of those guys are going to be higher owned. And we know in baseball, with the amount of variance that there is for a player to succeed, you know, if X is now going from 10% to 30% owned, then a little bit more leverage on fading. I don't know. I'd rather play lineups I like versus feeling like I have an edge or a lack of an edge. I like flexibility in baseball. I literally, when I'm optimizing my lineups, dude, I have 80% min salary allowed. Not saying I only use 80%, but I don't care about salary. So if you're gonna get some of those guys being multi-position eligible, those high-end guys like J-Ram, I think it just elevate their ownerships and spots to where I can use that to my advantage one way or the other. I'm a 76er season ticket holder, so let me put you on game. He always balls out against the Lakers at L.A. He averages 18, 8, and 8 for his career. Plus Ben's ex, Kendall Jenner, lives in L.A. Come on, buddy. Come on, bro. I like Burks tonight because of Bullock being out. 6K, do we love Burks? You know what I'm saying? Do we love Drake and Blake? If you see 30 coming out of him, sure. But you really need 30, you know? And waiting for the Mets to do something could be the year. Could be the year. Mets definitely have, I think, the best pitching staff in that NL East for sure. Just get in. Are you thinking Randall's a tier 1 gun? I don't think it's a tier 1. I think I'm going to really go bullish on the Sixers and the Kings teams for high tiers. But I definitely think Randall is probably going to be a tier 2 for me, meaning probably around 30% exposure. But I do think he has a shot. If you're going to start setting some odds on who could be the highest raw point scorer on the slate, I think Julius Randle is probably in that top 3, top 5 discussion, right? Washington, New York does not give me warm and fuzzies. Yeah, thoughts on Korkmaz? Chip in a chair. That's my thoughts. We'll talk more about him in just a second. San Antonio Spurs hosting the Los Angeles Clippers. Project starting 5 for the Clippers: Reggie Jackson, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Marcus Morris, Ivica Zubac taking on Dejounte Murray, Derek White, DeMar DeRozan, Keldon Johnson, Jakob Poeltl. Am I not Poeltl enough for the Poeltl Club? We got a 2-2-2 and another 1-2 as our total with a 6-point spread in favor of the visiting LA Clippers. Clippers traded Lou Williams for Rajon Rondo, and what does that mean? Well, Lou Williams does represent a little bit of scoring and a little bit of minutes off of the bench here. 17 minutes against San Antonio last game, 20, 24. So you could make a case that 17 to 22 minutes on average has been removed and needs to be filled. Is that a little bit more minutes for Paul George? Is that some minutes for Luke Kennard? Yes, I'm going to lean a little bit more on Paul George and Kawhi here. It is a repeat of the last game, so maybe you want to get a little bit point chasing on what happened last time. I love the Kawhi San Antonio narrative. Texas with a little bit of fans in the stand, 48 fantasy points from him in that game. We'd take that under 9K on a short slate like this, so definitely don't mind some Kawhi. And then Paul George might stretch his 33 minutes to 35, 36. So I'll kind of play with projections as I get closer to lock. I'm thinking I'm going to have more Kawhi than Paul George, but Paul George is probably in the mix there for me as like a tier 3. And then Zubac. I think Zubac's going to be trendy as one of the highest owned centers on the slate, just points per dollar. I don't really have any pushback on that per se. He just dropped 30. He's just been Mr. 30. It's just like you give him 25, 30 minutes, he's going to give you a point per minute. So if you just trying to get that solid 5-6x out of a 5.6K play, just kind of a foundation. Yeah, go for it. I don't have any pushback on that. Jakob Poeltl on the other side, he's similar to Zubac in terms of points per minute. You give him 25, 30 minutes, usually he's going to give you 25, 30 fantasy points. I like, obviously, for the price, I'm just going to go to Zubac over Poeltl, but I think there's a case there. I preferred Poeltl in that stretch where there was pieces missing, like a White down or a DeRozan down or a Keldon Johnson down, but I don't think he's off the table. I'm just like easily going Zubac at that price range in a pinch. Do you think Kawhi will play tonight on a back-to-back? Is it a back-to-back? He's played on back-to-backs before, the 14th and the 15th, the last one, 29 and 40 minutes. So I don't see why. I see why he wouldn't, but I don't see why he wouldn't, right? Like there's not quotes floating around out there that suggesting he would miss. And this being a back-to-back in the same city makes more of a case that he should be able to go. So it is what it is. I don't want to speculate anything without some substance out there. There is a precedent for him and Paul George to play back-to-backs this season, so I'm not going to guess he's out. If you did guess he was out, with Lou Williams also being out, that would be a boost for me on Reggie and Paul George. And if Paul George was out, vice versa. And then also just another boost for Ivica Zubac, right? Dad says if Zubac keeps balling out like that, change the name to Ivan Tupac. Come on, buddy. Locked into 25 minutes per. Yep. All right, let's move on to the next game here. Los Angeles Lakers hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. Project starting 5 for the Sixers. Benjamin Simmons III, Seth Curry, Danny Green, Tobias Harris, and Dwight Howard taking on Dennis Schroeder, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, Markieff Morris, and Marc Gasol. We got a 215.5 total, a 5.5 point spread in favor of the visiting 76ers. Marc Gasol coming back from protocols. Probably don't put deep minutes on him anyway. 15 minutes is what I got right now. So it's really just the big three for me. Front end on the Lakers, Schroeder, Kuzma, and Montrezl Harrell. And then I start sniffing around at Talen Horton-Tucker. We saw last slate that there's a wide range of outcomes for how those guys come through. I think it's fair now with a little bit more sample size to kind of pull up the on-off court tool and just kind of put maybe some more advanced metrical numbers on them. So let's take off LeBron. Let's take off AD. And just kind of leave it at that. We also saw we saw a different center start last game, right? I don't want to say his name because then I'll get clipped by like Damron or something. Let's put Kuzma and Schroeder on and take off AD and LeBron and just kind of see what numbers we have now with the limited sample size, 226 minutes of sample size, 26% usage rate on Schroeder, 23.5% on Kuzma. Both of them right about a fantasy point per minute, and Schroeder has that 28.1% assist rate. So yeah, I like them both. I don't necessarily think they're a lock to smash at these prices. Like, I think there's a range of outcomes where 35 is whatever, and it's not a slate breaker. 35 at 68 and 69 is what it is. I'm gonna have some, but they're probably tier 3 for me. And then Montrezl Harrell 7.57K. Again, he could drop 40 plus too, but with Gasol back in the mix, I think I put that 7K kind of towards a down payment on Rashawn Holmes, and then they're building up James Wiseman. So I really could make a case that I could full fade Lakers here. I probably don't. Like, I'm gonna have the Schroeder, Kuzma, Harrell, even Tucker in probably the tier 3s and maybe 10-15% cap on them. But I really feel like that's a way for me to or that's a spot where I'm just not in love here. So we'll see if stuff tightens up before lock, but I just think these prices aren't elite based on the matchup. But I do like the 76ers. Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris. I'm going to handcuff these guys pretty strongly. Very, very likely and viable that I might tier 1 Simmons and Tobias, meaning I want 40+% of both these guys. They've just been super consistent, and their usage is going to be pretty high. I think Tobias is a little bit more of somebody I'm going to lean on, but Ben Simmons has triple-double potential. You've discussed his history against the Lakers. Give me those two. Danny Green, Seth Curry, volatile fringe plays. They probably don't make the cut for me. Danny Green had a 2-game stretch in the absence of Joel Embiid that, without context, looked like he was immediately benefiting from no Embiid. But when you really put look between the lines, there was that first game which they didn't have Seth Curry, and he picked up some shots there, 18 real points. And then that second game against the Knicks, he had 8 stocks, and people just looked at that far right column and didn't realize, oh, wait, it's Danny Green. So much more volatile than I want him to be, and I'm probably just leaning on Toby and Ben Simmons. Bradley got traded, so Dwight Howard might be baked into some more minutes there in that front court, but you also just might get some deeper run there from Tobias Harris, and maybe Ben Simmons playing some big spot. I don't think I get to like Mike Scott or anything like that. See what you guys got. I'm really curious to see what you guys think on this game, though, chat, because I do think these last 2 games are probably the most DFS friendly from a price and scoring standpoint and matchup standpoint. So I'm curious to see if you guys are as meh on the Lakers as I am, because I just feel like at these prices I'm just like full stacking Kings, right? See what you guys got. Devontae season. Well, I'm calling him Devontae. Holmes, AK, heck nah. Holmes has 50+ fantasy point potential. Obviously, that's the ceiling, but 6-game slate, it's there. Des says Gasol, here's what people are saying about him not being a good fit in LA. Do you think he responds with a nice game tonight? I don't think that's a thing. Like, I don't think Marc Gasol is the Twitter rumor type. And I think he's a great fit when they're fully healthy. Like, when LeBron and AD are on the court and all you got to do is worry about defense and rim protection for 15 minutes, I think it's fine. So I'm not buying into that. I'm also just not comfortable with putting Marc Gasol at a minute projection where I'd feel like I should play him. So I'm not there. At 4K, I'm just going to get James Wiseman. Vogel hates Harrell. Could have left off the word. Okay. I like Kuz and Harrell. Yeah. Harrell, I think Harrell's a tough click because he is 7.5, 7K. People just are not used to paying that. But, I mean, he also has 40+ fantasy point potential. So much more volatile than we want him to be, but it is a range of outcome. And for that reason, I'll have tier 3 levels of all these Lakers. Kind of like I did with the Thunder yesterday. I might set a correlation rule to where I don't want more than 2, but I also feel like on a short slate, maybe there should be some where I have 3 just in case they triple stack, or maybe I'll do that in like game stacks, right? Tall says, I wonder if Paul George and Kawhi could work together. as like a handcuff for hogging usage and fantasy points, yeah, throw a blanket over a 40-40, 80-90 fantasy points together. That's definitely possible. What up, Russ? Shout out to Russ, by the way. Russ with the 10-month pass sponsorship. Need a win for baby mama payments. Come on now. All right, one game left on the docket. So let's talk about how we're giving away one of those Russ month passes. It's through our partnership at PrizePicks. If you guys have not tried PrizePicks, I'm addicted to it. It's a way to diversify your daily DFS spend and still reward your research you're already doing by isolating certain stuff for players, such as fantasy points scored, real points scored, assists, rebounds, and as of yesterday, 3-pointers made. And I love that last one. Just more stuff to bet on. So you don't have to worry about salary caps. You don't have to necessarily worry about news, although news is a huge edge on PrizePicks. But anyone this month that signs up for PrizePicks using I'm gonna say supported credit code using code GUNDACKER, not only are you going to be entered into the drawing to win a month pass at RunDFS.com, but they'll also just straight up give you some love for using code GUNDACKER. Match your initial deposit, double it up to $100 instantly, no slow drip, and you could just sign up, turn $20 into $40 and try it out. I'll show you guys what it looks like on the screen. Looks a little something like this. You open up the boards. They have NBA, other sports. They've also got some esports. Their fantasy scoring projections is the same as FanDuel. So if you're familiar with how FanDuel scoring is and you're just like, I love this guy on FanDuel, I don't know about his price though, you can come over to PrizePicks and kind of see where they have them at. If you think they have Jimmy Butler too low now with all these people out, or with no Olynyk, hey, it's a free 50 against the second worst defense. That's a lock for Jimmy, right? You click Jimmy, that's going to add him to your list, and then you go to single stats here. You want to isolate some actual specific stats. We talked about assist rates. We just talked about how Dennis Schroeder has a 28% assist rate right now. So maybe you want to control F some Dennis Schroeder. He's at 6 assists. That's tough. I think that's pretty tough, but it's possible. Another prop that I was thinking about now with no Gary Trent on the Blazers. Maybe CJ McCollum is a fun 3-point prop guy. 3.5 is his prop right now. The Heat give up the second most points per game via the 3-pointer. So maybe McCollum goes out there and he's going to chuck 10, 12, 15 shots from behind the arc. Shot 12 last game. And maybe he hits that 3.5. So there's a couple of examples of props you can bet, but you get a huge table of props to bet on here, and then you could put between 2 and 5 into a parlay, get 10x your return, get 1.5x if you play a little bit safer and turn it into a cash game. Whatever it is, try it out, check it out. It's a good way to support the stream, and also a good way to diversify your spend and better reward research that you're already doing, because McCollum could hit 5 threes today, but only have 35 fantasy points, and he doesn't help you out on DraftKings, but he might help you out pretty well on PrizePicks. So it's just more ways to kind of hedge your research. I like it a lot. Let's see what you guys got in chat. What's up, B Legendary? Any DFS advice when playing one lineup single entry GPP? Well, I think there should be context based on like how many entries are in that field. Like, there's a difference between 100 lineup field versus 10,000, right? In 10,000, you probably get a little bit different, and under 1,000 or less, you probably just want to play the best plays that you like based on your research. But as you get larger and larger field, like a $1 single entry could have a 10,000 lineup field. Maybe you get a little bit cute. You take your cash lineup and you 2v2 it to a little bit more risky plays. Ownership is definitely something that you want to leverage everywhere, just because you want to find some way to separate yourself from the field. But I don't think you should over leverage yourself in a single entry versus focus on playing who you just think is the best plays, and don't feel the pressure. Leverage for me, I utilize it a little bit more in mass field tournaments, but I also like to leverage against myself. Meaning if I have 50-60% of a guy in my multi-entry, I might just go play a single entry and play and fade that guy and leverage versus myself. Russ has gone. I bet the Derrick Jones Jr. points, rebound, assists over. I like that. I wish we could bet PRA. Thoughts on Cork? Oh, Korkmaz. Okay, good question on Korkmaz. So Korkmaz, I think, would be contingent on Seth Curry's availability or inavailability. He is currently listed as questionable. So I think if you thought his ankle injury would keep him out yet another game, then yeah, Korkmaz is right there in the mix. He would be a 4K shot in the dark where you're probably looking for 25 or better. And that's really not something he's been getting with Curry out. 26, 28 minutes. So I just think he's a punt, nothing else, nothing less, nothing more. But he becomes probably a worse punt if Seth Curry does play. I think Dwight Howard might deserve a little bit more love. Got to try a Philly cheesesteak and reach once travel is allowed from Canada. Let's go. I'm not big on Cork tonight unless Ben is out. Shake will get, yep, okay. Retracted. All right, main event tonight. Kings hosted the Golden State Warriors. Projects 25 for the Warriors. Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre, Draymond Green, and James Wiseman taking on De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, and Rashawn Holmes. We got a 226.5 total, 2.5 point spread in favor of the home team, Sacramento Kings. This should be the source of a lot of my lineups tonight. If I go pull up the defensive rating in the entire NBA right now, Sacramento Kings are easily the worst defense in basketball, and I do think their offense has been good enough that you keep games a little bit closer and just deep minute projections on everyone. I mean, I got 38 on Fox, 38 on Hield, 39 on Barnes. They traded away Corey Joseph last night. They got rid of Nemanja Bjelica. I guess there's a world where like Whiteside and Justin James kind of get some run here. But man, they just don't have body. So these young guns are gonna have to play so many minutes. I don't think that's gonna be a secret. I don't think it's gonna be an edge. It's just gonna be the foundation of what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm looking at this depth chart for the Kings. It's not pretty. I mean, behind Whiteside, they got Norvel Pell. Jabari Parker's not. I think they just bought him out, right? Did I see that when I went live, or they released him or whatever? So yeah, this entire starting five is going to play just redonkulous minutes, and I'm just going to load up on it. It's too cheap from top to bottom. Under 9K for De'Aaron Fox on a 6-game slate. It's already something worth looking at. Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, maybe one of these two just eat at each other's ceiling, and it's a 25-35 floor ceiling ratio, but I'm fine with it. And Harrison Barnes might play 40 minutes, and Rashawn Holmes, 8K on Holmes is a lot. I get it. I think Jakob Poeltl, I think Ivica Zubac is going to probably be the number one owned center today. But there's a world where Holmes has been dropping 50, right? It's volatile. It doesn't happen every game. But if you look at his last 5-6 games, 48, 53, 57, like it is in the range of outcomes for Holmes to be a fine play, and a little less minutes being spelled behind him on a team that is currently without Bagley, no longer with Bjelica. So you can see it. On the Warrior side, I'm willing to forgive Jordan Poole's down game last time. Andrew Wiggins got swallowed. Doc Rivers says Ben Simmons swallows guys. Well, Wiggins had his down game. I think Wiggins is still going to be volatile game to game no matter what, but statistically he's going to lead the team in usage without Steph Curry. Don't mind that. Kelly Oubre had his big game last time out while Wiggins struggled. Draymond Green is almost 8K on DraftKings. I'm willing to be really, really light on that. But James Wiseman, I like him quite a bit here. Wiseman was inserted into that starting rotation last game, and as long as Steph Curry's out, I'm thinking it's development season 4. James Wiseman, 13 shot attempts against Philly, 21 fantasy points. The 26 minutes is encouraging. I definitely think you'll see teammates, guys like Draymond, look to get him some opportunities a little bit more. And if we look at the shot selection there, all of those shots but one were inside the paint, essentially. So we know that the Sacramento Kings already the league worst defense. I do believe they give up the most points in the paint, I believe. And that is true. They give up 53 points in a paint per game allowed. So it's just an elite spot for James Wiseman to kind of put himself on the map. And if I put some substance to that, the last 5 centers against Sacramento, Clint Capella, 31 minutes, 53 fantasy points, 17 rebounds, by the way. Jared Allen had 9 rebounds, 23 fantasy points, 27. And there's like an Alex Len 33 bomb in here, 29 minutes for Daniel Tice, 26. So it's a point per minute or greater matchup. So I do like James Wiseman. I think on FanDuel, Wiseman versus Ivica Zubac is an interesting discussion. I also just think those two guys will probably be the highest owned 2 centers because Adebayo, I believe, is still a power forward on. He is. So I think center on FanDuel is going to be those two, and then whoever has the gall to kind of pay up for Harrell and Holmes. But for me, it's probably split right down the middle there between Zubac and Wiseman. But I also think Dwight Howard's really interesting in a post Tony Bradley situation, right? He is a point per minute kind of guy. So if you just find it hard to get him less than 27 minutes, I'm okay with Dwight. Let me look at that Sixers depth chart just in case I'm sleeping on. Like, I know they have Mike Scott, but Paul Reed, Mike Scott, Tobias Harris, Dwight Howard. So, yeah, Dwight Howard just might be in plain sight too. So, I don't mind that. That's it, man. That's our 6-game slate. Ben Simmons swallows, guys. That's what Doc said. Ben Simmons, he's out there swallowing, guys. What about Looney? I'm probably down on Looney here. I don't think I need to. It's definitely Wiseman season. Like, if you had that feeling in your bad knee for Looney to get some run here, I mean, it's a plus matchup all the way around. But I think there's a lot of bigs on the bench here with Pascal, Looney. I don't really need to get there. Is Juan Toscano? I don't have him listed here. He didn't get moved, did he? Barnes over Holmes? Yes, but that's not like a genius call because it's 2 different positions and different price points. But Yes, I'll have more Barnes than Holmes for sure. Gunn, what's the game point total on this game? It's 226.5, and Sac's currently a buck and a hook favorite. Chat, if you guys got anything else for me, twitter.com/Gundacker, how you can reach out to me. I will be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord up until lock if you guys want to hang out with me, talk some basketball, kick back, relax a little bit. Oh, God. God dang it. If you guys want to hang out, go check out RunDFS.com. Make yourself an account. Get signed up. Anyone who signs up this week will be entered into that month pass extension drawing. No matter what pass you got, we'll add a month to it for free thanks to the Russell Miller's 10 sponsored month passes. And you also get access to the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheets. And baseball starts in a week, April 1st. You'll have access to the baseball spreadsheet as well, man. It's going to be fun. What's up, Ibsen? You're late. I missed the talk on Lillard and Butler. Any love there? I think Lillard will be low owned, and it's easy to write him off without McCollum. But remember, they traded Gary Trent today, so I got 38 minutes a piece on them both. I think I get a little bit more of a discount on McCollum, and Lillard still has 50, 60 fantasy point potential. So I'm going to have them both. I'm going to have more McCollum than Lillard. But I think versus the position, I think Fox and Ben Simmons will soak up more ownership. So I definitely don't mind them, but I'm not tier 1ing Lillard. And then Jimmy Butler is currently questionable. So as long as we get some news verifying that he's in at 959K, he's going against the second worst defense in the league. No reason to not project him as a top 5 fantasy point potential scorer, right? Revenge narrows tonight. Quite a few of them. Dez God bless you. Hope you have a nice tonight. Yeah, appreciate that. Tomorrow, what's tomorrow looking like? NBA schedule for Manana. Tomorrow we've got a regular lock, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 games. So it's a full slate. This will be a day where we probably don't see any of these people that were traded play yet. There might be a couple, but for the most part, we might get some next man up opportunities, and it could create some interesting value spots. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully you guys will join me. That'll probably be a 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central stream. So we'll go back to the hour earlier start time. But otherwise, man, it's been fun, man. I really appreciate you guys making part of my day, be part of your day. Thoughts on Hill? Every king is playable. Literally every starting king is in the pool, probably at a tier 2. I appreciate that. Much love, man. Twitter.com/Gundecker. I'll see you guys tomorrow if you're not in the Discord. As always, good luck. God bless. Go win some money. Hit that thumbs up on your way out.